You know, today is the finale to a lot of hard work. I think anytime you assign a group of people, group of young men that we were able to sign today, it's a product of a lot of people, a lot of coordinated efforts on our staff's part. Not only the full-time coaches and myself, but certainly we have a number of people that do a really good job in our recruiting department, personnel department. And we would not be able to accomplish this without tremendous support from our administration and certainly all the people in our community that help us on these recruiting weekends and throughout. And a lot of this has to do with the fans that we have, the support that we have, and certainly the people that got behind us this year as we made a run for the Western Division Championship and played in the Conference Championship in the bowl game in year one. So it takes a group effort. We said that almost 1 year ago today. We made a statement that this would be a team effort, and it certainly has been. So this kind of caps off year one, in my opinion. We're getting ready to take a little bit of a break here. We'll come back. We do have a handful of initials left that we will work to complete the class in February. But for the most part, we've met most of our needs. I think we did a good job executing our evaluation system. I think our plan worked in terms of work really being thorough in the 6.5-hour radius. And, we've got a staff that's very capable in terms of recruitment and evaluation. So with that, we'll take a few questions here.
Well, what were the biggest surprises that you were able to keep, things that you were you really worried about losing that you were able to keep?
Well, we fended off some teams maybe, to fend off Baylor on Jax Harrington, here at the end was a big deal. That's one that maybe we lost last year. I think a lot of it has to do with sometimes we knew in the very beginning that if we were going to do this the right way, we were going to be in critical battles down the stretch with some Power 5 schools. Now, some of the players that we have, I think, could play at Power 5 schools, but a number of these kids chose to come to play at the University of Louisiana for the Ragin Cajuns and this staff for this area, for this university, over a number of Power 5 schools, and that was an accomplishment within itself. But, there's Osiris Torrance, Colorado comes calling here in the last couple of weeks. Certainly Georgia offered him a couple of weeks ago. For Brandon Lejeune, who, to turn down Notre Dame to come play at the University of Louisiana, I think that's a pretty special deal. I think those are just a handful of the guys that had opportunities to go follow through and commit to other Power 5 institutions, and we were able to develop relationships and compete. A lot of that has to do with the things that we've done from an administrative standpoint to make us more competitive, whether it's our living arrangements for our players, whether it's cost of attendance, whether it's facilities, whether it's a nutrition program, whether it's an academic center that just was open this year. I mean, a lot of things got to line up for us to have a chance to do that. I do believe in the product that we have to present to not only the young man but his family. And I believe in the caliber of coach that we have here to develop them as players. So those are just a few examples of guys that maybe we expected that to happen, I think, and it was exciting for me to see it follow through.
Speaking of some of the students today that did commit with you guys, they all said the same thing. It was the staff that got me to want to go there. Coach Napier seems like he would be a cool coach to work under. So what is different from you and your staff that separates you guys from the other programs that's offering?
I think a lot of it has to do, it's a group effort. We've got a number of people that work on how we present our product. Katie Turner's our director of on-campus recruiting. It's been with us for a year. William Pigler joined us in the summer. He's our director of player personnel. Josh Thompson came over from Texas A&M. He's our recruiting and logistics person. We've got a number of people. Andrew Burkett, Nick McDonald, Tyler Morvant, Des Ralston. These are all guys that are quality control people in that personnel department. Those guys concerted effort to go along with our coaches and their connections, their ability to develop relationships, and oftentimes that's what it comes down to. But I think we did a good job of executing our plan. You know, we got basically 5 stages that we worked through there, and we stuck with the plan, and I think in the end we got a good group of players and a group that has character and a group that is pretty local, you know, which I think will benefit us in the long run. So it's a good day for the Cajuns. There's no question about it.
If you could break down the numbers, do you stand at 19 right now plus your 5 blue shirts from last season?
We do. That's exactly right. So we'll have a number of players join our team in February. Some of those will be different scenarios. Some of those may be added as we go, you know, so we still have the option to bring people in at mid-year. You may see a couple more additions at mid-semester. Certainly we'll announce those as that happens. And then we'll have a handful of initials that we can use in February, hopefully.
Would you be willing to go up to another 5 and like you did last year?
We would be, yeah. Just absolutely, depending on the player and the scenario, absolutely. And I think that just goes from experience that we can find a good player, you know, after the first sign day, and certainly even into spring. You know, I'll be reluctant to go over 5. That's what I would say. That's kind of where I'm shutting it down. So.
Do you anticipate getting to 20 later today? Or 25?
Potentially, yeah, potentially. We'll see.
And unrelated, do you hope and/or anticipate bringing in a JUCO quarterback or a quarterback from an FBS program to compete with Levi and whomever else might be?
Well, I think it's a position on our team where we could use another player. In particular, I think a lot of it has to do with developing our team throughout this spring semester and this off season. So we haven't closed that door, you know, and I think that that's a scenario that will play itself out as we go forward.
Is that something that could or you hope could happen by Friday as opposed to waiting?
It just depends. You know, a lot of it has to do with those individual decisions and then who surfaces, you know, from this point forward. But I think we know what we want to do. Whether it happens or not, we'll see. But we are excited about the 2 new additions, the high school players that we added. Certainly had both of those guys in camp, you know, found those guys relatively early. They committed this summer. They stuck with us, and both had really good senior years. So we're excited about those 2 guys. Clifton obviously will be here January 13th, and then Chandler will join us in late May when the rest of the guys show up.
How many, is it 7 that you anticipate bringing in as of right now in January?
As many as 6 to 7, and then obviously there'll be a number of developments between now and January 13th, and that could even go into school a couple of weeks. You know, it just depends on. There's gonna be a lot of stuff happen now between now and it's good for us as we got options. You know, we still got a few in our hand that we can hand out. So that was part of the plan. I anticipated maybe this happening. You know, I felt like we'd have a handful, which is good. But I'm extremely pleased with the 19 we signed today for sure.
Out of this group, if I'm not mistaken, with it being only 1 JUCO, could that mean you bring in 6 high school kids? Or am I missing something there?
Well, the mid-years that we have are Caleb Reddix, Brian Smith Jr., Nathan Thomas, Clifton McDowell.
Thomas is JUCO?
No, he's high school.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's 4 high school mid-years, right?
Okay. Can you? I apologize.
Mid-year players: Nathan Thomas, Clifton McDowell, Brian Smith Jr., and Caleb Reddix. Those are the 4 that we can talk about right now at this point.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I anticipate of adding a few more to that list as time goes.
At this point, among the 19, only 2 JUCOs. It can be argued that when you have that few JUCOs, you're happy with the talent you have and you don't feel a need to go for quick fix. Is that
Right.
an accurate read?
Well, I think that one of the things that we did is we identified high school players that we felt like had an impact at that position, maybe some of those positions where we needed some help. We got longer at the defensive line spot, certainly got bigger, 2 guys that are 6'4.5" at defensive end, and 2 inside players that are both, one 6'1 3/4", the other 6'1.5". Both are 3'14" and 3'17". So 2 good interior players, and then Kendall and Quinlan both are 6'4.5" and both really athletic guys. So I think that's 4 premium players in my opinion. It's about as good as we can do, and one of the positions that we're most excited about going forward.